I've ordered parts, resistors, capacitors, switches, and so on, to build the next modules, and I'm waiting for them. So I'll use the time of waiting to tell you more about my current clock divider problem and about how I'll solve it. Well, there is this mysterious mistake. Where is it then? I tried to proceed systematically and made a checklist. Checkpoint 1, try the 470 kilo ohm 10 microfarad combination, which works on the breadboard. Try it on the module and negative. Checkpoint 2, control the position of the brakes and the copper bands on the velo board. Again, result negative. All brakes are at the correct positions and there is no short that might bridge one of the brakes. Checkpoint 3, control if there is a short circuit between the copper bands. Use a circuit indicator to make things sure. Some solder points may build a bridge between neighboring bands. Result negative again. No such shorts or bridges are existent. Checkpoint 4, bypass both switches, the patchable one as well as the turn switch, by fixed value parts, a 470 kilo ohm resistor and a 10 microfarad capacitor. Result negative again. The module still doesn't work. Checkpoint 4. Go to the breadboard circuit and insert a second resistor, a resistor of 47 kilo ohm, and insert the switch from the module. Result negative, meaning the breadboard circuit works perfectly as always, even with the inserted switch and two different resistors. The breadboard circuit is now nearly identical to the module and works. The module doesn't. Yeah, here my systematical checklist ends, as well as my ideas where to look for the mistake. Then I had a coffee and some cookies. I seriously thought about whiskey for a moment, but as I don't drink any kind of alcohol, not even beer, I admitted changing my drinking habits in the end. But the pure thought of whiskey may have initiated something in my brain. I went back to the module and started testing not only neighboring bands of copper, which should not have an electrical connection, but also all other bands of copper, which shouldn't, no matter how far away they are from each other. And here the first hint appeared. The plus 12-volt band and the ground band are electrically connected. And of course, they should not. By the way, they are not, of course, they are not in the breadboard circuit. I removed the NE555 IC and, plus 12-volt and ground are not connected anymore. It's still mysterious because the NE555 is okay. It works on the breadboard, as I tested it by exchanging the two NE555s, the one on the breadboard and the one on the module, more than once. By the way, mimochodem is check. I had checked these pins of the socket. They are not connected. Now I'll check the pins of the NE555 when it's inserted in the socket, and the result should give me a third hint. Pin 1 is connected to all other pins. Pin 3 is connected to pins 4, 6, 7, and 8. Pin 4 is connected to pin 8, and pins 6 and 7 are connected to each other. Some of these connections are clear and okay. Pins 6 and 7 are connected in the schematic. That's all right. And so are pins 4 and 8. But the other detected electrical connections, especially those of pin 1 to all others, which means a direct short between plus 12-volt and ground. Well, let me have a look at the internal structure of the NE555 again before I try to come to a conclusion of it all. But one last note before I dive into the IC. The NE555 on the breadboard shows different electrical connections. Wow, stop. Big mistake, this time in my brain. My circuit tester consists of a little light bulb and a battery. The NE555 contains transistors and diodes and things like that, which all react differently according to what potential, electrical potential, what polarity is fed in. And indeed, switching the ends of my circuit tester leads to different results, to those of the breadboard I see. And there is no short between plus 12 volt and ground anymore. Okay, so I'm still alone with my hints, with any hints to be precise. All connections are okay. No wrong shorts. All components are okay. There is no fundamental difference between the circuit on the breadboard and the circuit in the module, but the breadboard circuit works, the one in the module doesn't, even when I make it nearly completely identical with a fixed resistor and a fixed capacitor. Okay. The internal life of the NE555 must bring some understanding. Let me make it short now. A week of learning the NE555 has passed and I have really understood now. I'm going to make a video about the internal functions of the NE555 and about how to make use of them in synthesizer modules, but not now, not in a diary like this. If you have subscribed and switched the notifications on, you will get informed about the video about concerning the NE555 internals. But back to today's main task, the mistake in the module. Studying the NE555 showed me that I'm completely right. There is no mistake in the circuit. It should work fine, like that on the breadboard. The only difference between those two circuits, the one on the breadboard and the one in the module, is the amount of cables. And even if I have tested each of them, the problem must be caused by this salad of wired links and connections, this cable spaghetti. Let me summarize the situation. Aspect 1. I'm really not in the mood to check everything a third time, each cable, each node, each connection, and so on. Aspect 2. There is a mistake in the layout of the front panel. The name of the module is missing, and the input label and the output label, they are missing as well. Aspect 3. When I look at the data sheet, which I showed you last time already, I see that there are a lot of my resistor-capacitor combinations that lead to the same time spans during which incoming signals are ignored, in other words, to the same division factors. It is not necessary to have such a lot of resistor-capacitor combinations, such a lot of parts which cause such a huge amount of wires in the circuit. Aspect 4, there is still this mysterious hidden mistake, which for sure is not a problem of the construction of the circuit, is not a problem of my understanding or misunderstanding, but is simply a wrong or missing milligram of metal at the wrong place, deep in there, hidden in this mess of wires. Conclusion, I'm going to make the module once again, completely from the beginning, and I'm going to arrange the parts more clearly, and there will be less parts. And I'm going to build the module step by step in a way that enables me to test and check whether or not the so far built module is working or not, so that I discover at once after each step if the last step has been done correctly or not. And just a last note, I know, in between, I do know that there are easier ways to build frequency dividers and clock dividers, which, by the way, are more conventional and can be easily set to precise rates of dividing the incoming frequencies. And I'm going to build some of these as well. But I want my NE555 circuit too, because it brings something with it that's very interesting and spurs creativity, and this something is a kind of unpredictability, a whiff of randomness, and I want this. More about this last aspect here in my next diary entry, hopefully. Well, enjoy your day. Rolf.